Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon once again, as per your respective time zone. We'll begin the session now. Yep, we've got attendees still joining us. Yep. So on behalf of entire managed services team, we'd like to welcome you all to this 23C Talent and Oracle Learning Cloud Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as a part of this course release which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm an operations manager at Mastek Managed Services team. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague Niam Sanchaya, who's part of our vast HCM team, and he's a senior manager of delivery. Today, he will take us through all the Talent and OLC updates for 23C quarter release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes. And we'll make sure that we also spare some time to answer any questions you may have. We also have a panelist, senior person, Toril, available with us, so you can drop your question in the question or chat panel if you have any. Before we move to the agenda, let's have a quick look at the disclaimer. We would like to convey your approach towards Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We'll be taking you through vital analysis for the 23C updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. We will keep you posted on, keep you in sync with any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask questions as mentioned earlier. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have created the structure of this session. The first thing what you see is list of new features coming into 23C, detailing on features, so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is what are the business benefits, an important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are 4 important components where we have done in-depth analysis of the features which we're going to present to you today. The first one is going to be impact level analysis, which demonstrate the impact on end user. So what we mean is, like, if it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's a high impact, then we need to opt for regression testing. A second one, which is we all are aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one will be highlighting the nature of the feature. There would be certain configuration which may be required, and some can be used without any changes. And last one, the term which we use is quick win. Quick win, again, I'm repeating. This term we use to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and efforts to make use of this feature. We won't take much time of yours. Immediately, I'll be handing over to my colleague and he'll take us through today's session. Thank you so much. Niam, unmute yourself and stage is all yours. Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you, Hardik. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to one of these sessions. Today, we're going to be talking about talent management and learning management. Both of these products have matured a lot over the many years of their existence. So while we have some big ones, we have a few large-scale major updates that we'll talk about. We are seeing more incremental updates throughout the ecosystem. And I think that's when the excitement starts, because you've gotten all the must-haves out of the way, and now what you're seeing is pure productivity drivers. So there are a couple of large themes that most of these new features follow, and I'll point them out as we go. One of those large themes is, of course, the idea that your learning, your talent management, development, recruiting is connected. And so while these modules have developed in collaboration with each other ever since the get-go, and they've always been connected through the talent profile, you are now seeing a whole different level of investment in trying to get these to work together seamlessly with talent at the front. So we'll see a lot of these features coming through, and these are very small things, but the devil's in the details, right? So the smaller things are going to make the product really, really good to use as you continue using it. So we'll call them out. I won't spend a lot of time, but I will call those major themes out as we go. So to begin with, some of the new features. There are 24 in total. That's across talent management, which includes goals, performance, career development, talent review, succession planning, all of that good stuff, profile management, and also the OLC or Oracle Learning Cloud. So in total, there are 12 that come over by default. There are 4 opt-ins, and there are 8 which we think are very quick wins and are low-hanging fruits. And I'll also try to explain the business case behind, or at least the most common business case behind some of these features. Obviously, your business case might be unique to you, but we will go through some of the common ones. The entire presentation is in 4 categories. So we'll talk about quick wins that are default with some configuration. So this is somewhere if you like one of these features, you might want to take a note and go back to your support representative and request them to initiate the process to change that configuration a little bit. There are some which are come by default with no configuration. So there's nothing that needs to be done. You just need to know that the feature exists and you have to start using it. So these are the they're not even low-hanging fruits. These are the fruits on the floor, right? So, but wash them off and start using. That's the idea there. We have some quick wins which are opt-ins. So you might have to decide, and I'll try to give you some of the pointers which might help your decision. And you can of course get in touch with your support service rep who can help you make that decision on whether that particular feature has value to your organization or not. And you can choose or not choose to add them in. And finally, whatever is miscellaneous, I'll just walk you through some of those features as well. So jumping into the quick wins that are default with configurations. So as I said, the small incremental enhancements. So you can see some of the filters. So the management level filter, which is used to search members to add in the talent review, that now has autocomplete or rather partial searching. So it just helps make searching that much more efficient. You don't have to type in the whole thing. As you type, it will start suggesting partially matching terms, and that just makes life that much easier, I feel. And while it's a very small feature, I think these are the important updates that will really bring value to the product as they become all pervasive. So the impact is I believe high from the point of view of the fact that you have these enhancements coming through across. There is a need to enable it. There is a small configuration that needs to be there, but it's also a quick win. And you can find the management level easily to add to the review population of a talent review meeting. So that's doesn't do much, but it does it well. And I think that it's a signal towards that investment journey where you see more and more enhancement in terms of searchability, in terms of partial searches, and not having to do a lot of manual work in the future. So I'm happy with that. Additional comment support and potential assessment. Again, small thing, small tweaks, but this shows me that now we're at a level where we're going into these details and making changes into the product, which are foundational, small, incremental, but they give a lot of value. And you know, overall, we're learning from customer experience and trying to understand what are the pain points that a customer is facing on a daily basis, rather than looking at just the major features that must be there in a talent management system or must be there in a learning management system. So I'm really excited about some of these additional comments. So while preparing review content, you will be able to put in additional comments. Now, do note that these comments are optional even if your question is mandatory. And again, that's historically based on my experience with my customers. I think whether you make a question whether you make a text box mandatory or not, ultimately it's about education and culture building. Because even if you have a mandatory text box with, let's say, 5 characters that you must input, which is like the go-to for people trying to force the employees to fill in something, people are just going to say NAAAA and move on. So it's about culture building. So that's where you have the option to keep comments, but it's not mandatory. That's something that you can decide to use. And again, part of your implementation, part of your enhancements, you can plan to have that slowly embedded in the culture of the organization, that people give in more information, they're documenting things well across the board. And so when you refer back to the candidate file or the employee file 3 years later, you still have that information somewhere in the file itself. So that's something that I think gives you a benefit. You let people elaborate on why they agree or why they disagree with something, and it enhances your talent review process. So I'll move on. Succession, organization, user experience changes. Again, part of that big theme there, where their focus is on user experience, bringing everything up front, rather than you having to go to different modules. It's trying to bring everything together and making it easier for you to access that information. Just as part of that, there are a couple of changes in this page as well. It needs some configuration to enable, but it's not very complicated, not very heavy. It's a quick win, in our opinion. And it lets you very easily see if a user or an employee is part of other succession plans as well, or whether they have succession plans created or not. So that's something that's useful. You're able to see other information about them as well. So that's, as we go into the next features, you'll also see that they are trying to make it easier for you to make a snap judgment as well, because all the information you have or you might want, you will be able to see in one place faster. One of those incremental things. So just moving on from there, auditing is now there in the talent pool security configuration, and also you can bulk upload them using the HDL or HCM data loader or HCM spreadsheet data loader. So that's another one of those enhancements that I think is really useful for us as implementers. But making those audits also makes it possible for you to change or to track changes throughout the security configuration changes that might have been made over talent pools. So, and who made them. Right? So that's just a way to manage it better from an admin point of view, from a securities point of view. It just makes it that much easier to maintain the system. Again, very quick win, and just minor enablements that need to be done there. Again, as part of talent management, you have the enhancements to add succession plan quick action Redwood version. So the Redwood version of the quick action also supports some of the new features which were not there previously. So it will show you the count and list of other succession plans that a person is part of. It will show you the incumbent information, some of the flex fields, and it will show you very quickly whether they're willing to relocate, what's their risk of loss, what's their impact of loss, and that just helps you take better decisions faster because you're able to see across your population these key metrics right up front. So again, part of that larger theme of making things more accessible. I think the impact level is high because this enables you to use succession planning in a much better way. I feel talent review and succession planning and career development sometimes are some of the most underutilized but most powerful tools that are at your disposal for in your talent management journey, especially from an analytics point of view, where talent review and succession planning do a fantastic job. But they've just not had that sort of a vision or an investment yet, but these incremental updates are really getting them to be very, very useful for every organization that might want to use it. So we move on to the next category, which is quick wins, default with no configuration. Default goals sort order. Again, not a major increment, a major enhancement, but incrementally, I think it's very useful because now what you're allowed to do with this is you can sort goals based on the name, the category, the status, the weightage, or the last update date. And that really helps in building that culture of having goals well understood, well set, and well reviewed. That happens when you remove friction out of it. And I think the fact that you can sort them now really helps remove that friction because you're putting up what's most important to you at the top, where your employees and your managers are easily able to access them, and they don't really have to do many actions to reach the most relevant goals. And that really reduces that friction, and trust me, that small nudge goes a long way in creating a culture of having a regular conversation with your employees, having a regular review, recording that information. It's just the more friction you can remove from that process, the better that process becomes. And this is a very solid step in the right direction for that. So the business benefit we can expect is that it will enhance user experience. Again, user experience is a big theme They're really going into really great experiences for employees. They're learning from usage and how their customers are using things each day. So that's one big part of it. And they're giving you more flexibility to change these things as well. Now comes a big one. So we saw some of the incremental updates. I think Oracle Grow is a very solid culmination of that idea of having a better user experience, of having everything seamlessly merged together and not having them as separate modules. So you've, as I said, you've always had recruiting, learning, talent management. They've always been connected, but they've not been connected in the way that you can access everything from the same place. You can see all this information combined. So though they've been connected, they've never been combined, I would say. And Oracle Grow is a solid step which helps you change that a little bit, and it gives you, actually, little bit is an understatement. So it really goes deep into consolidating all this information, right from your learning topics, right from your jobs and careers, to your core skills, all of that in one place. So if you look at a career journey, if you want to do career pathing for your organization, which is typically a major challenge, and apart from money, a major reason for attrition for most organizations has also been quoted as lack of career clarity. So there might be a career development opportunity in your organization, but it's just not clear to everyone. And so you might be losing people who could have otherwise stayed had they known what the next step is. And Oracle Grow really helps with that, because it creates a very transparent view of what skills you need, what jobs are available, what's the next job in your progression, how will you grow as an employee in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years through the organization. And you can create custom career paths and put them across. And so the employee has a self-service sort of access to their own career, and they can map through their career journey using this tool. And it really combines information from all of these different modules, puts them in one place, gives a snapshot view to an employee, and really does a, I think, splendid job of it. It's part of the overall Oracle Me platform, which I think is multiple steps in the right direction. The communication platform is extremely strong. It really supports the business outcome, rather than having these modules that in some cases end up paying lip service to the cause. I think this really embodies the cause of communicating with your employees and engaging with them on a regular basis. So it really enables those sort of things. So I think this is a big one. So impact level is high, and it just comes as part of the Me platform. So there's no real configuration needed. It will just be available for use. And that's really big as well. So employees can leverage a connected experience across all developmental goals, development and growth resources. So career pathing is the key takeaway term from here. I think it's an important one. Moving on, we have employee views HR defined career path on career pages. So as I said, again, you can create those career paths and you can have them enabled so that I can see into the future. So that's the closest thing that I'll come to being able to predict something well. I lose a lot of bets, but if I look at this, I am able to then create a career path that really makes sense for my employees, and all of them can see that. Based on their job and their progression jobs, they can also see the next job in their list, next 3 jobs in their list, for example. So I know at any given moment what my next 3 promotions might look like, or what are the other career opportunities available to me. And then a lot of new features are being added to check the skill gap as well. So we'll talk about those in a moment, but I'm just trying to weave a full picture here. So again, very high impact. There is a need to enable it. It is a quick win because it does not take too much time to implement. You have the explore page that comes with this, and the career details page, both of which are part of the Oracle Grow tool itself. So moving on, the Redwood version of the new pages are coming up. So add to talent pool page has the new Redwood version here, and you are it now supports the display of flex fields and display of these 3 key fields that you would want to see. which are willingness to relocate, risk of loss, and impact of loss. So talent pool becomes that much better and still part of the new look and feel and the overall user experience of Redwood. Dynamic skills, as you might know, are a new feature that have come in recently, and they're again very, very useful in terms of keeping track of and giving people that career path, giving people clarity on what skills they already possess, what they need to. And now HDL and HSDL support has come for them. So I think that's more for us, makes it easier when we set things up or when we support you as customers. But also from a self-service point of view, if you want to use HSDL and upload new dynamic skills, the administration of it becomes a lot easier. So that's a quick win in our opinion. For profile management, again, some of the pages have been redesigned in VBS. So you now have pages that look like Redwood pages, which you can choose to enable if you wish to, and give them a cohesive experience. So give your employees a cohesive experience from the look and feel point of view of the system. And while that migration was happening, I know some in some pages you had the classic UI, in some pages you had the new UI, and that really did not necessarily give a cohesive experience. It might have felt disconnected sometimes, but that's changing. Even in these in the case of these pages as well, you have the option to have a cohesive view. Right. Mass recalculate manager ratings in performance documents. So you can now mass recalculate when you update or upload these ratings through the HCM data loader. It's a quick win. It eliminates the need for manual recalculation of the manager section ratings in the individual performance documents. So when you're doing your performance documents, again, it just makes life that little bit easier, and therefore fits in that overall theme of incremental updates. So new features, what are some of the opt-ins that you have available? So in terms of talent, duplicate competencies in performance documents will not happen anymore because the algorithm has been tweaked. So initially, if you had some competencies in your performance template and the same competencies came through from your model profile, that might have created a duplication. But now the way it works, and I'm not going to go through the detailed algorithm here, but they've changed the way it works so that you will no longer have that issue. You will have one competency per person per performance document, rather than having a mixture based on automatic selection from multiple different spaces or multiple different profiles, right? So that's a major one. So when you synchronize the person profile competencies in the performance documents, it will exclude adding duplicate competencies that already exist in other competency sections in the performance document. Right, moving on. So the all-in-one evaluations where you can do evaluations for multiple employees with the same performance document. So for those, you now have a deep link. Again, might be a low impact, is a quick win, and it will also be an enabler in solving certain problems down the line. So it becomes a tool in the tool set to solve our problems based on specific requirements for each customer. So if you think this is something that might help you in one of those pesky problems you might be having, again, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and speak to your support representative. We also have a couple of new fields in the OTBI for talent management. So you have assigned by person number, assigned by, assigned date, selection type, skill status, and required skill rating. So you will be able to now handle certain additional requirements like listing the workers and the skills that are flagged as core or role-based skills, provide count of worker profiles that possess required and non-required skills, report on the count of skills that are assigned to the worker based on the selection type, such as organization, person, role, etc. So now we have a new feature from Learn. Again, I think really, really useful. So in the past, in history, what seems like history, we used to have to create custom reports to recommend learnings. Then that feature has come in. So we now have the ability to give learning recommendations through the system. And now it's even easier because the learning recommendations for their current job are now available within the browse learning page. So as soon as an employee goes through to their learning section, they will be able to see their recommended learnings as well, which makes it easier for them to take action on it. So the call to action now is much stronger than it used to be. If buried under pages, then you're less likely to act. If you remove that friction, again, the theme is removal of friction from some of these things. So the call to action is much stronger. If you think this is something that can help with your overall journey towards creating a learning-based organization, might be something worth thinking about on educating your teams so that they're able to leverage this better. Mass update learning assignments. So again, part of the OLC family of changes. As a learning administrator, you can now make mass updates like deleting assignments, withdrawing learners, completing assignments, etc. Again, reduces a lot of manual maintenance for us. So as an admin, I think this is a quick win. The Redwood page has arrived for administrators for the learning recommendations. So the recommendations in these categories are generated by the schedule process, and it now shows recommendations from learners, peers, and managers, and other recommendation initiatives as well. So you can see all learner recommendations in the same place now, which again, from a learning administrator point of view, is something that is very useful if you're in the process of building that organization which has learning at its core. Right? You also are now able to report on pending seat acceptance and look at when they entered, when the learner entered or exited the pending seat acceptance status. So that's just more detailed reporting on seat-based learning. So if you have a wait list or if you have instructor-led trainings a lot, then this will really help you with decision making. And sometimes if it's depending on your structure of your course and the financial fees expectation, etc., you should be able to have that information handy. Again, quick win. Next one, grade and organization attributes in learning records. So again, a reporting change in learning. Lots of reporting changes in learning. They're adding things that you can report on, and that will create a new possibility each time to create new reports in OTBI. So that's always good and always welcome. We can now enhance learning assignment analysis by including grade and organization attributes. So that's not something that I need to explain much, but it just makes it easier for learning administrator to create reports. The rest of the new features, so very quickly just going through, get newsfeed suggestions on your next likely action. So this is part of the other theme which I was just dying to talk about, which is artificial intelligence being embedded across Oracle. As you might know, Oracle is also making strategic investments in generative AI, and they have been making strides in adaptive intelligence and AI in general for a while now. And you will start to see the output of that in a myriad of features. One of them is what you're seeing on your screen right now. So you can get your suggestions for the next likely actions in the newsfeed layout. It's controlled availability right now, so you would have to log a service request and get it activated. However, it's essentially something that learns from you and tries to suggest the next action based on your usage of the system. So it's becoming more and more personalized, much like how you would expect your phones to act these days, where you would get a recommendation for the next action based on your most typical actions or sequences of actions that you do. It's getting there, and I think I'm quite excited about that, because that's going to save people a lot of time in terms of navigating. It adds up, right? 2 minutes every day for, let's say, 20 different cases over a year is going to add a lot of time back to people, and therefore be that much more cost effective eventually. So I think that's, those minor optimizations are really what separate the good from the great. So that's something which is good. Talent management classic pages have been removed. So these are the old pages that were, well, they did not look and feel as good as the new ones, the responsive Redwood pages, etc. So those have been removed, and you do not have the option to go back to the old pages. If that somehow impacts you, if you are still not on the newer pages, you might want to consider going through. If you're in a mid-flight implementation, please make it a point to ensure that you go live with the newer pages rather than the old ones. Controlled availability for learning features. So some of those features also being added in learning. The main one right now is the learning planning, which can create simulations for you as well. So you can have training needs identified, and they are added in a learning assignment, and they might or might not be assigned at a future date. So it's something that you would have to, if there's a need for such a thing, you can get a service request log and get it activated, and it can then help you with your learning assignments. Or if you don't activate, I mean, if you don't assign those, ultimately you can run simulations because the plan isn't executed. The other replace or remove features. So you have learning record subject area, which is controlled availability up until now, has become generally available. And that's it. That's my time. Thank you. I am opening up the floor for questions.
I guess there's no question in the chat and question panel. Toril, if you can reconfirm, please.
Yeah, no existing questions.
Okay. Someone has a hand raised, so if you don't mind writing a question, we'll be getting it back through an email, if that's okay. Someone has a hand raised. Anyway, I'll be going to this next page. Yeah, so what happens next? So by this weekend, we'll try and send you the presentation PDF along with the recording of this particular session. So if any of your colleagues has missed it, they can go through it. So all these things will be available to you at a single click from your email, which is going to lead you to the Mastek webinar page, and there you'll have an access to these test scripts as well, along with the presentation PDF and also the recording of this session. So that's about it. We have 2 sessions coming up, which is one tomorrow, HR Helpdesk and ORC, and this one from supply chain tomorrow, inventory and order management. And apart from this, if you have any questions, please do reach out to the respective support manager or the service managers, please. Yeah, and just before you all leave us, just on the scale of 1 to 5, we need your help rating us on this scale about how we did in today's session. Thank you so much for the poll. I'll be closing the poll now. And once again, I would like to thank you everyone for sparing today's time towards this session. Really appreciate it again. Thank you so much. And we'll be closing today's session. Thank you.